Welcome back to AP World History. This is chapter 29. We're looking at a variety of things that happened between World War I and World War II. We had left talking about the Nazis coming to power in Germany, primarily because they promised that they could get things done, and Hitler is going to get the economy moving. He blames the Jews for all the mishaps in Germany. He is eventually going to come up with the final solution in World War II, and that is mass genocide, and that is to kill as many Jews as he possibly can. It's estimated that he killed over 6 million Jews. Certainly, it's a totalitarian state. It's fascist. You were loyal to your country. The Nazis had absolute power. Freedom of speech is hindered. And they vilify the Jews. Well, as many fascists will. This is a little biography of Adolf Hitler. He was born in Austrian. Some reports that he had there's Jewish heritage. Don't know that that's ever been proven. But certainly he hated Jews. He was a frustrated artist. He was a corporal during World War I. He believes that the reason that the Germans lost World War I was because of the Jewish undermining the folks back home. He hates the Treaty of Versailles, believes that Germany got shafted in it, and he will ignore it when he comes to power. In 1933, he will start building up the military, which was a direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. He writes Mein Kampf. If you ever try to read it, it's probably one of the worst written books that I've ever attempted, trying to explain his philosophy and his goals. The Third Reich refers to the time of 1933 to 1945. He claimed it would last 1,000 years. It didn't quite make it. This is his book of Mein Kampf. He wasn't a literary giant. Certainly had a mesmerizing delivery. People listened to him. He promised many things, and he could deliver, and people are willing to follow him. The National Socialists, or the Nazis, are fascists. They're anti-communist. They're anti-capitalist. They're nationalistic. They come up with a stabbed in the back theory that they had been shafted because they were blamed for everything in the war, and they believe that the Jews have stabbed them in the back as well as others. They used propaganda very effectively. They had a secret police called the Gestapo. And if you can remember back when we were talking about Russia, they also had a secret police that was under the control of the czars. And if you want to get rid of people, well, they just knock at your door, and in this case, they sent you to a camp. He promises redemption for the German people, revenge, and 1,000-year reign of the Reich. And he also comes up with a final solution, that is to kill all the Jews. Mussolini, 1935, attacked Ethiopia. A violation of the League of Nations. They condemned it, but took no action. Fascism is going to spread to Spain. Francisco Franco is going to become a dictator there with the aid of Italy and also Germany. So birds of a feather flocking together. And they all have the same goal, and that is domination of their people. In the light brown, you can see totalitarian regimes, and fascism is in the red, and green representing democracies. So it's looks like it's evenly split. Elsewhere, economic changes in Latin America. Certainly, there is going to be some changes. There's going to be more unrest. As far as capitalism is concerned, there are going to be American companies investing in Central and South America. Latin America, Central America seems to be tied. They were tied directly to the United States and Western Europe economically during the 1930s. Um, in Mexico, the president, Cardenas, will distribute over 4 million acres of land to the peasants, although he will create a monopoly on the oil, limit outside ownership. He will expand education, but for the most part, things don't really change that much in Latin America. Most of the countries are dictatorships. Brazil, again, dictatorships. Vargas promised liberal reforms, but essentially, when the president came, all that went by the wayside. He is going to impose an authoritarian regime, a dictatorship. Um, Brazil will join the Allies in World War II, but they're not going to make too much of a contribution. Militarization in Japan, they believe that the way to world dominance is to having a strong navy and a strong military army. They will invade Manchuria from Korea, which is their colony, in 1931. So when they invade, they will also invade China in 1937 and 1938, and they're going to try to carve it up. As they were doing this, as Italy was invading Ethiopia and Germany was annexing Czechoslovakia and Austria, the Western powers stood on the sidelines. They weren't willing to commit troops or try to stop these people from taking over the world. They practiced a policy of appeasement, giving in to these ruthless dictators. Japan will fully industrialize by 1931. It certainly is going. When we talked earlier, the yellow peril, that is the fear of the Japanese taking over most of Asia. And colonial powers will fear Japan, and they will seek to try to limit her expansion peacefully, but to no avail. This shows an expansion of the Japanese and the outbreak of World War II. So their empire is going to expand into China and in the Pacific Rim. The Soviet did not feel the depression because they really weren't tied in with the rest of the world's economy. It's not that things are glowing in the Soviet Union. It's just that they don't sell and buy things from the rest of the world. They still had the collectives. People were on their farms growing things for the state. There were 5-year plans where they would have goals that they would set at different factories and on the land. There's going to be purges throughout this time, people being killed who might be potential threats to Stalin. From 1927 to 1937, Soviet output of machinery and metal products grew 14-fold. So they're going to industrialize to a certain extent. Are they going to be prepared for World War II when it comes? No, they're not. But they're going to certainly be better off than they were. And we're going to stop.